Kevin, you're good? Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Rockingham County School Board for Monday, December 13th, 2021. Thank you for allowing us a few extra minutes to start a little bit late this evening. The first thing that we need to do, board members, is approve the agenda for this evening. Do we have a motion for approval? Thank you, Mr. Falk. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Any questions or discussion, board members? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries 5-0. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. The next part of our agenda is public comments from speakers, and this evening we have no speakers signed up for any public comments, so we will move to the next part of our agenda, which is board member comments. And we'll start with Mr. Falk.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Falk. Ms. Lohr?
Thank you. A week ago tonight, we got to go to MTC and had our executive board meeting. And it's so wonderful to be back in person at MTC and see the things that they're doing there. If you have a 10th grader, please encourage them to sign up or at least explore MTC. They didn't get tours of MTC because of COVID, so next year is going to be critical, not only in their development, but in moving forward with MTC. Also, but the 9th graders have started going to MTC, so that's exciting for them to see the possibilities that are available to them. So I'd like to thank the MTC folks for being so hospitable to us last week. And then last Thursday, I got to enjoy the Broadway High School Christmas choir or Christmas concert. That was beautifully done, and they live streamed it. So I was able to enjoy it while working on decorating my house and spending time with my family. So I would like to thank Broadway High School for making that possible. And then also the Lacey Springs Elementary School had a Christmas cruise through last Friday night that they put up all these blow ups and we put up Christmas lights, and it was just a magical experience. So I'd like to thank them. And I think at least Folks Run has a similar event coming up. So I hope everybody's getting in the mood for Christmas, and everybody can take some time to spend with their families and enjoy some downtime with those we love. Having said that, there's one that we love that we're going to miss very soon, and I just wanted to say that Chairman Reed, we'll miss you. It's been an honor and a pleasure working with you. So hopefully you can spend some time this Christmas season with your family, because I know they've missed you while you've been working, preparing, and doing things for the school board. So thank you for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Lohr. Thank you, Ms. Lohr. Mr. Breeden.
I just want to thank everybody as we move into our last meeting of this year for your hard work this year under sometimes some trying circumstances. I appreciate and thank you for your diligence and and your hard work. That's everyone that's to my left, as well as those who are employees in the system here that are here with us tonight. I hope that everyone has a blessed and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And I will save my roasting of Mrs. Reed until the last item on the agenda, if that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Dr. McQuilkin.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. I would like to second Ms. Lohr's comments about MTC. The meeting that we attended was very informative. It's good to see all the wonderful programs that are blossoming at MTC. We appreciate the professional development that is currently going on. It was an uplifting meeting, and we encourage everybody, we second the fact, we encourage everybody to visit MTC. My second item is I was a judge at the Elkton Middle School Spelling Bee, and that was fun. To see the students spell, it was just an enjoyable evening. That's it. Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Dr. Scheichel.
I'm not leaving the meeting, but we do have a recognition to complete, and we're not going to do that just from up there. So, Ms. Reed, if you would be so kind and come to the podium. As is tradition, we recognize the outgoing chair of the school board. And as the chair for 2021, you receive a gavel in appreciation for outstanding leadership and service to the students and staff of Rockingham County Public Schools. So I want you to present you with this.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service as chair. But we're not going to stop there. So as you've already heard, Ms. Reed is leaving the school board and has served Rockingham County staff and students and families since 2014. I've had the privilege to work with you for the entirety of my superintendency so far. And I will say that when I started in this position, your advice in my first year and since then was invaluable. The first year, I relied a lot on getting advice from you. You met with me on a consistent basis to walk me through all the things that you had already seen. You brought ideas to the process that are still guiding us now. When we talk about what's coming next, there's a long list of items, whether it is the capital improvement plan to improve our facilities again, whether it has to do with how we move forward when it comes to recovering from a pandemic, whether it is our future-focused learning with Learning 2025 in Harvard, or whether it is about community dialogue. All of those are items that you've been instrumental in. And I will give the board just a brief example. We've had this conversation about creating a framework for respectful and productive community dialogue that is based on our legal obligations, on many attempts to discuss controversial topics in a respectful way. We had another meeting today with a group that is really moving that process forward. And Ms. Reed is going to stay on as one of the members of that steering committee. And just this afternoon, before I came here, I had the first ever student advisory meeting with students from the high schools. And one of the students made a good point. She asked, so are you actually going to use what we say in the decision-making process, or is this just for show so you can basically say you've met with students? And knowing how this process has developed and where the advice came from, again, Ms. Reed and I have talked about this numerous times, as have other board members, but you've been instrumental in now making students part of this process that will also become a part of this community dialogue. And so What you have brought to Rockingham County Schools does not stop at the end of December. There are so many projects that will be ongoing with the support of this board, the next board, but also with you still involved in this community dialogue piece. And it's such a pleasure and an honor to have worked with you in your capacity as a board member, and it will continue to be so after you leave the board and continue to work with us on really bringing to the broader community the way you engaged in conversations at some of the most contentious board meetings that we've had over the last few months. You've always shown your class, your respect for everyone involved, and now that becomes a reality for the broader community, supported again by everyone on this board. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your advice and for your guidance and for all the amazing things that you have brought to the school division. And this plaque expresses from the board and from everyone in Rockingham County Public Schools our sincere appreciation for outstanding and dedicated service to the students and staff of Rockingham County Public Schools from 2014 to 2021 as a school board member. Thank you so much for everything you have done and continue to do.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I will leave the notes to you.
Dr. Scheichel, did you have anything else you wanted to share?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
just want to check. I have a couple of things I want to share. First of all, Mr. McLean's here from JMU, and he lent me something that was in his office for our final meeting. And so when we go out tonight, we're going out with a big bang. So I'm just going to put that right here on this floor. So as most people know that have been to these meetings, I don't really use the gavel very much at all because we've been able to maintain what we need in the meetings. But I thought tonight was a special celebration, and Jason allowed me to borrow his big gavel from his office, so I've got that with me. I just have a couple of minor comments that I wanted to make. As I've reflected over the past few years, I went back to the saying that I found shortly after I took office, and it's a quote by Stephanie McConnell, and this is what it looks like. It's a little dog-eared. It was by my desk at home, and it says, "Am I doing the right thing at the right time in the right way for the right reason?" This has always been at the forefront of my decision-making as a board member. There are many people in this room and in our schools whose gifts to Rockingham County Schools have been far greater than mine. They are the unsung heroes. Bus drivers, school nurses, teachers, custodians, coaches, principals, reading specialists, mental health professionals, the clerk of our board, etc. They are the ones who make everything work. They have made our jobs easier. During my time on the board, I've been impressed with the commitment of our administrative leadership and have been fortunate to work with two superintendents who have deeply cared for our students and have looked for innovative ways to support the needs of all of our students. I firmly believe that the commitment of those who work so hard in our schools is what makes us one of the best school systems in Virginia. This job has not always been easy, but it has been a labor of love. This seat is truly at large. It represents every attendance district in Rockingham County. District 3 has children that go to all 4 high school attendance areas. And I've always strived for a thoughtful, collaborative approach in weighing all the feedback to make the best decision at the time. I hope that I've achieved that in some measure. I wanted a minute to make some thank yous. I'm a firm believer in lifelong learning, and part of the journey of being a school board member is learning. There's a huge learning curve. I want to express my gratitude to all of the people, particularly our Rockingham County government partners, Doug Gwen and Lindsay Brubaker, our legal counsel, school board members in surrounding cities and counties, LaDonna Shiflett and Lena Osborne, who have provided me with support, guidance, wise advice, and even criticism. It has helped me to be a better board member. This includes that I will be forever grateful to my fellow board members and former board members, including Bob May and LaDonna Shiflett, who I've served with. We have had laughter together. We've had some fun trips. Mr. Folk and I got lost in Orange County once on our way back from Richmond. You don't go through Orange County to get back to Rockingham County from Richmond. And that was probably the first month that I was on the board. We had a fun trip to Boston, which was quite interesting. And a few other laughs along the way. We've also had arguments and worked through them. And we've had tears. Tears for people in our community that were lost. Tears for projects that we could not finish. But most of all, this board has always agreed that the students of Rockingham County come first. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my family for their patience and sacrifice for the last 8 years. It takes a great deal to be a family member of a school board member or any elected official, because they too can become lightning rods. On top of the fact that there are many things that we do that we can't discuss with anyone except fellow board members in particular circumstances. And when you come home at night and you want to walk on the treadmill for an hour and a half after a school board member meeting and your partner wants to know why, and you can't tell them, that's an extremely difficult thing to do. My children have sacrificed by knowing that I may have not made a soccer game, I may have not been there when they needed me, but they've done it with grace and humility and knowing that that their collective community will be better for it. Sometimes people ask me how many children I have, and I tell them 11,000. That's how many students we have in Rockingham County. And 2 of those are the children that I've raised as part of our living here in this community. They've allowed me to do this important work, and my family that lives outside this community has also allowed me to do this work. And sometimes it's caused a great deal of turmoil and concern, particularly with parents who are elderly. But I have appreciated my entire time on this board, and I look forward to continuing to be part of this community and offering the help and support that is needed and wanted in any capacity. Thank you. So now what we'll do is we'll move on to action items, and we have the minutes for the prior meeting, which I believe was November 22nd. Do we have a motion for approval?
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Lord. Do we have a second? Thank you, Mr. Falk. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is bills and mileage.
I recommend approval of the bills and mileage that you have in your materials for November 2021.
Thank you, Dr. Scheichel. Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation regarding the bills and mileage for November 2021. Do we have a motion for approval?
I move that we follow the superintendent's recommendation to approve the November 2021 bills as presented.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Field trips, Dr. Scheichel.
You have 3 field trips for your approval today. Turner Ashby High School 1-act play team, January 14 through 16, 13 students to Shenandoah University in Winchester. Spotswood High School 1-act musical theater, January 14 to 16, 50 students to Shenandoah University in Winchester. And the Spotswood High School Honors Band, January 21st through 23rd, 10 students to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. And I recommend approval of those field trips.
Thank you, Dr. Scheichel. Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation regarding the field trips presented. Do we have a motion for approval?
I move we follow the superintendent's recommendation to approve the field trips as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Lord. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion, board members?
Dr. Scheichel, are these field trips competition only still, or are we moving back into more? Go ahead.
So these are performances that are, you can consider them competitions, but the protocols are the same as we had at the FFA convention. So the protocols will still follow the same process for overnight field trips. Students who want to room together have to be fully vaccinated, and tests are required prior to departure.
But are we moving into more normal, are we making field trips more available, I hope? And if not, when will we be able to do that?
Right, so there are a number of things, when you ask about field trips, it's not just field trips that we expect to change. On December 24th, all students who are 5 years or older in Rockingham County have had the chance to be fully vaccinated if their families choose to do so. And so there are a number of mitigation strategies that we consider changing as a result of that. It will make field trips a little bit easier, and it also will change potentially, again, how we operate day to day. So one example, for example, the public health order that is the mask mandate that currently stands is likely to expire in January, either mid or late January, after Governor Youngkin takes office. We still will have a mask requirement on buses. The CDC requirement for that currently is set to expire March 18th. But as we've done throughout the pandemic, we follow a layered model. So if we want to take masks or make masks optional, there are other strategies that we have to implement to keep our classrooms and all our other events safe. That includes improved ventilation through the HEPA air purifiers we purchased. It includes testing being available. We've gotten great use out of the rapid tests that we've distributed to schools. We've gotten those for free from VDH. They expire at the end of the year, but we just ordered 2,000 more today. And again, those will be at no cost to the school division. They can be given to any student, any family, any teacher, staff member who needs a quick diagnostic test. They come with telemedicine support. We will have the VISTA program in place where once a week, students and staff who have given consent, or the family for the students has given consent, they will be able to get a PCR test weekly if they so desire. And as a result of that, we can start having conversations about changing the approach with masks, for example. Again, ventilation, students and staff staying home when they're sick, the combination of all those factors with rapid testing being available at any moment when a family needs a test. Those are layers that actually combined outweigh the benefit of the mask. So when you look at 90% versus 50% mask compliance, there's a benefit to higher mask compliance, but when you add other strategies, then they actually become much more important. And so now we're getting to that point. Again, every family has had the chance to have their child fully vaccinated if they so desire. And so in January, we can have that conversation about reducing the mask requirement when that becomes possible as the public health order expires. And so, yes, we expect a number of things to change. We already permit, for example, athletes to participate without masks when they are actively exercising or playing. And so those are all already changes from last winter. And I know it seems to go on forever, but these are serious conversations about what it takes to still keep our classrooms safe. And the same will apply on field trips as well. So yes, we certainly hope to return to increased availability of field trips in the spring. You're welcome.
Any other questions or discussion, board members? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries 5-0. Dr. Aldifer.
Chair Reed, Dr. Scheichel, members of the board. This is a follow-up to our presentation, or my presentation several weeks ago about policy revisions. We have 4 policies for your action this evening. Specifically, we have policy AC, non-discrimination, policy JHH, suicide prevention, policy JB, equal educational opportunities, and policy JFHA/GBA, which is our sexual harassment policy. So I am recommending these to you or to Dr. Scheichel for approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
And I do recommend approval of those policies as presented.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation regarding the policies presented. Do we have a motion for approval?
I move that we follow the superintendent's recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. Do we have a second? Thank you, Mr. Falk. Any questions or discussion, board members?
I would just note for the audience who perhaps doesn't see what I see, these policies are revised versions of our current VSBA policies to be brought up to date with current VSBA policies, correct?
Yes, there is one policy. The sexual harassment policy is an RCPS policy that's being revised. And that's based on changes in the guidelines from Title IX.
Any other questions, board members? Thank you, Dr. Aldifer, for always working so hard on these policies. I know it's not easy and keeping track of all of it. Board members, seeing no other further discussion, do we have a motion for approval? Oh, no, we did that already, right? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Thanks, Dr. Aldifer. Okay. I think next is Refi. Welcome. Welcome, Ms. Shoma, Ms. Landis. Sorry. Well, you can move around all you want right there.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Oh, shoot. Okay. Yeah. Well, I figured you probably could hear me anyway. Miss Reed has been absolutely amazing helping with Refi. She's been a part of the Refi board and continues to support the work of the Rockingham Educational Foundation. So I want to start this evening by a thank you. Everyone. Thank you so much. I just wanted to play that. That was a great joy to put together, and it comes from the heart. Like I said, 37 years in the classroom. This is 38 right now, my chimes. Yes, and I'm very proud to be a part of Refi. And I just want to kind of begin, have a short presentation by saying thank you. We could not do what we do to support you without your help. You provide so much for us, space for our executive director and administrative assistant. You support us with helping with our administrative assistant, and we have a fabulous one, Miss Pam Miller. And I just can't say thank you enough. Now, we work at this to support you and also to support teaching and learning in Rockingham County schools. I used to teach in Rockingham County Schools for the early part of my career. And I'm very proud to say that this coming semester, I'm going to be teaching teachers assistants in Rockingham County Schools who are working toward upping their education level. And I'm very proud to be working with a cohort of teacher assistants. It's awesome. So just to throw a little data on you here, and this is per year annual data. The core programs of the Rockingham Educational Foundation include early literacy. We support books for kindergartners when they come to school the first day. Other things there, about $4,000 per year. Innovative learning grants for teachers, which has averaged about $53,000 worth of money for grants on average for the last 5 years. We manage about 80 scholarships and for nearly $75,000. Some full ride scholarships for graduating seniors are available. We, of course, teacher recognition, $2,500 for not toy, but teacher of the year. That's what that stands for. And we try to provide $5,000 for summer professional development in some program areas. And then, of course, there's the infamous or famous Teacher Supply Depot. So many businesses, so many people in the community have supported the Teacher Supply Depot. We figure about $250,000 worth retail value per year of supplies that we offer at the Teacher Supply Depot. We hope to be able to expand sometime in the future if we can. And we have a great network of folks who work to procure items for that particular purpose. It's neat to see the teachers come in. This year, stuff the bus. About $41,000 retail value of donated supplies, some additional cash donations to buy things that we needed for the teachers. We've added 2 new scholarships this year. And the lemonade stand, whoa, over $6,000, thanks to the Cross Keys Mill Creek Ruritan Club, who partner with us to do that. And many of you help at the lemonade stand. It is awesome. And then we just did our fall teaching innovative learning grants for teachers. And $36,684 were awarded for 43 grants to enhance teaching and learning in the schools. So it's gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce you to Victoria Landis. She is our new executive director that came on board in midsummer. And since you guys took Katie away from us, yes. Anyway, I'm going to ask her to come up and talk just briefly about a couple things. Okay? Then I'll hit the button after a little bit.
Okay. Thank you, Susie. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here and to be a part of REFI and such a wonderful organization and school system. Susie asked if I'd speak a little bit on our fundraising because we are really excited. We will, since it hasn't happened since 2019, but we will have both of our annual events happening in 2022. So the first will be our annual auction party, taken many names. As you can see the save the date there, our theme is Back to the Future. We are looking back on the impact that REFI has had while also looking and dreaming towards the future. We felt like it was a good theme for the time and as things progress to move forward. As you'll see, this is going to be in February on the 5th at JMU. It is looking to be a fun-filled evening with auctions and raffles. And we may have a DeLorean there for some photo ops, so it's looking like it's going to be a really good time. Additionally, like I said, our other event will be our golf tournament, which happens in April. It'll be April 16th. And along with our other big fundraising is we participate in the Community Foundation, Harrisburg and Rockingham Counties, Great Community Give, which is also in April. So yeah, we're just really excited and energized to be able to have all these fundraising and being able to do them back and in person. So.
That's for sure. And so we wish happy holidays to everyone. And
If you are doing any of your holiday shopping, we do have an Amazon Smiles. We get a small percentage back for all orders put in. So if you happen to be getting something, think of considering putting us in. Thank you.
anything that you buy from Amazon, a small percentage from their foundation comes back to us and to you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone have any questions?
Board members, any questions for Refi?
I just wanted to say that I too was going to plug Amazon Smile because a portion of it does go, and you can find the same exact stuff. It's the same exact Amazon.
same
But they
website.
give some of the money that you spend to the nonprofit that you choose, which choose Riffy. And then they'll give you a report. And I think I wound up giving $34 or something last year just for buying stuff I was already buying. So absolutely use the Smiles. And thank you guys for all of your work.
And we'll say, big smile. Big smiles. Okay. Are we good?
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you
all.
so much to the two of you for being with us this evening. Appreciate it. We'll see Back to the Future, I think, in February. So, okay. Dr. Shiflett, are you going to do an introduction or you want me to? How are we doing this? Okay.
Good evening, Chair Reed, members of the board, Dr. Scheichel. Pre-COVID, if you will recall, we were having conversations about the future of education in Rockingham County Public Schools and looking at a 5-year roadmap of what that future would be. And during that process, we engaged in some conversations with our colleagues from James Madison University about the potential of a lab school there at the College of Education that would serve as a model for what we wanted school to look like in the future. And obviously with COVID, all of those things were just sort of put there on the back burner, and rightfully so. But this past August, we re-engaged again in those conversations. And we've been working with Dean Lesperance and Associate Dean Brian Zugelder and some others from JMU, our colleagues from Harrisonburg City. And we've put together a proposal of what a potential partnership school would look like between the work between James Madison University at the College of Ed, Harrisonburg City, and Rockingham County. And so this evening, Dean Lesperance from the College of Education is going to present to you that proposal, share the details of it, the curriculum, the instruction, the governance, the finance, the budget, all those wonderful things, and then provide an opportunity for you to have a Q&A with him about the work with this project and this proposal thus far. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mark Lesperance. You got the clicker?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to the superintendent and school board for allowing us to present tonight. It's going to be about 15 or 20 minutes, and then you'll have plenty of time to ask questions about this potential partnership. And again, the partnership school is for community engagement at James Madison University. It will be housed at Memorial Hall, the old Harrisonburg High School. So 2 things to think about this. When you think of a vision, I really want you, over the course of this presentation, to think about this as an innovation hub, not just for students, but also for professionals in many different areas, and that this is going to be really a national model for trying to give students a different experience. And I always go back to my own self. You mentioned that you went up to Boston to have fun. Well, from my accent, you could probably tell I'm from Boston. I can almost assure you didn't go to my neighborhood to have that fun. I grew up in a real low-wealth neighborhood with 10 individuals in my house, 4 generations, and we struggled from day to day. In college, in other areas, and other pathways were not something that was on a supper table every night. We just wanted to get through day to day sometimes. And, you know, I had a journey that most people don't have coming out of my neighborhood, and I believe that this partnership school actually gives students a chance, like myself and others, that this may be their best chance. So as we go through this, I really think that this is a great opportunity, and as I've said many times, it's an investment in students and in young men and young women. Again, the working group worked for several weeks, would meet on a regular basis. We had 3 members from Harrisonburg City Schools, 3 from Rockingham County Public Schools, and 3 from JMU, and we brought other individuals in as we needed. And we really try to make sure that everything is aligned, what we're talking about with your strategic plan and with your vision, your mission, and realizing that both Harrisonburg and JMU right now are finalizing their plans, strategic plans, that we really spent time making sure it was connected. One of the unique features, and I talked about it just a little bit, hinted to it, is giving different pathways. And when you think of these pathways, you know, I go across school divisions, and the number one thing people, superintendents tell me all the time is, can we grow our own? We have some great students in our own backyard. What can we do to set up these opportunities? And you have many opportunities right now for students, and think of this as another pathway for both education, health, social service, aligned with community engagement. There's a big piece. We want the students who will be coming into this high school to really be problem solvers in the community, pre-professional and underserved at career and technical centers. We believe that students over a course of 2 to 4 years will really begin to explore in depth their possible career explorations. And again, just taking a look without having to read everything to you, we believe that this is going to be a pipeline for educators. And, you know, at the College of Education, where it will be housed, we're putting out hundreds of teachers per year. And one of the things that they have to do is go out to schools, right? You have many in your own schools. And, you know, my daughter's a 2nd grade teacher at Linville Edom, and she loves the place, and she has student teachers. We're going to be able to do things right inside Memorial Hall with our student teachers. And again, some of the other professions. And when you look at the continuum, again, some people say it takes like a community, right? And we realize that it takes a number of people when we get students in, but we want to make sure that our pre-service educators and professionals are learning from the students are learning from the undergraduates are learning from the students, parents are part of this, professionals are part of this. It's a learning continuum. The way that this innovation hub is set up, it'll be intentionally designed so that we learn from each other, looking at best practices, aligning with the strategic plans and the instructional. You know, I've talked to the superintendent on many, many occasions about all the innovative instructional programs that you have going on right now, that we'll be able to really center those and take a look at the fidelity of those and for program evaluation. Just to give you, again, this is potential, but just to give you 8:30 to 2:30, and some key points, because people say, what does this distinguish from another high school, right? It's the intentionality. The intentionality, one, is authentic community engagement. We believe that students from Harrisonburg and Rockingham will work together with adults from JMU and a lot of professional services. You think of, many of you have been over to JMU, so you know it. Just think of all the resources that we have to really pour into these students and give them an opportunity to really do some experiential learning, hands-on type problem solving. Again, focusing on the development, you know, of the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain. We have counselor ed, and again, we know that there's such a shortage of counselors across the state, but we're going to have an entire program working on best practices and then working with your professional counselors in your high schools to really see what are some things that we can replicate. Deep student engagement, and again, the pre-professional career exploration. It's going to be a different type of day for the students. And again, this is just a real brief Reader's Digest version. Transdisciplinary curriculum, a key thing to note. This is the Virginia curriculum. This is the state curriculum. This isn't a special curriculum developed by JMU. This is the state curriculum, but working together with your teachers and your curricular experts and our experts, how do we make that curriculum jump the students? And again, I go back to my own experiences, having teachers that sometimes come up to me and say, I can tell, Mark, you're bored in my class. And I say, well, you know, but man, you really get it. You really get something in there. And, you know, and sometimes you end up with a teacher that may not excite you. Sometimes you end up with teachers that do excite you. Intentionally, what we're doing here is every class will be hands-on. Every class will be intentional to the learning needs of the students involved. Again, you can read, it's tough to read off slides. I'm not sure you want me to. Again, just here's the crosswalk, just so that you feel comfortable that the curriculum is Virginia State curriculum. Community partners. Each one of the circles there stands for many different folks. Just talking about a couple from JMU, specifically the College of Education. We have undergraduate and graduate programs that will be working with the students and teachers on a regular basis. We also have the College of Health and Behavior Studies, nursing. I was talking to the nursing program recently. They're very excited just to have a full-time nurse students to say, here are the best practices within the school. Again, this is a pipeline for your other schools because we want to believe this is a training ground. Community partners, including chambers of commerce, love to see foundations. They walked up, I'm sure just looking at her and listening for 5 seconds, she would definitely be part of this, you know, jump right in, right? And again, working with what's best for the students. A big piece, and I've been asked this question many times, and maybe I'll answer it before you even ask it. This is not a high school for the faculty members, students, and children. This is not a specially designed high school. This is a high school that is designed for the demographics of both Harrisonburg and Rockingham County. Two different demographics, so we got to be really intentional when we start selecting students, right? And we'll use a lottery system to ensure that the demographics, and again, the students that were like me growing up, I mean, that's where I see a lot of students with potential, if put into the right environment, right conducive learning environment, good things happen. So we're gonna make sure, because one of the things that we don't want this to be viewed as an elitist school, because it's not. It will be an elite school though. Life-changing investment for students. And again, I want you to think about every one of us had their own moment somewhere in life where somebody spoke life into us. And whenever that took place, your world became different. We believe that this will be set up that a lot of people will be speaking life, not death over students. And it's just going to be truly remarkable, the investment that we're going to put in. Again, representative. Okay, so the projected enrollment, just to give you an idea, the first year, we're looking at 300 students. That would be 150 students in the 9th grade, 150 students in the 10th grade, realizing that most likely we'll get the 150 in the 9th grade. But, you know, some kids are already in the 9th grade, may not want to start in the 10th grade, so that number may be a little bit lower in the 10th grade. But the goal is by year 2, we have 350 students, and I'll tell you why we only go up 50 students at that point. Years 3 and 4 are up to 400 students. Because after the 10th grade year, we want students to return to one of these 5 number 1 options for them. They can return home and go to the neighborhood schools. We might have someone say, you know, 2 years, I learned a lot, but you know, I want to go back to Turner Ashby. Okay, that's great. That's a choice that you'll be able to make with your parents, and we believe that's a good choice. You know what? I never thought when I came in here I would ever go to government school, but I didn't even know a government school existed, but maybe I want to try it because I qualify for it. You know, we did a lot of great stuff with science. I want to be an electrician. Maybe I want to go to career and technical training. You know, I like it. I want to go into college, but I'm not ready for the 4-year school. Maybe I'll go to Blue Ridge. Well, what we're hoping is that we'll be able to retain 50 of these students. In over a 2-year period, they will be able to acquire 36 credit hours from James Madison University and then be our pipeline into a 4-year program. That there are valuable resources out there for students, and what we're trying to do is create a framework, a comprehensive framework to work together for the needs of each individual student, family, and the community. And Michelle Kelty from the College of Health and Behavioral Studies has spent a considerable amount of time with a number of your folks and a number of folks from Harrisonburg to say, what are some of the best practices and what can we do together to ensure that it's a model for not only this area, but for the whole state, if not nationally. Extracurricular, we would love to say, but I want to be telling you the truth if I told you that the students would be able to join every club at JMU. No, we don't want that. We realize it's a developmental issue, right? We do want to say that students who come here, though, the way the school was set up, they can go back to their home schools, the school, and play sports and be involved in some extracurricular activities. We do realize, though, by their junior year, if they want to stay at JMU and begin to take college credit, that over slow security, safety, over a period of time, we begin to integrate them into the JMU sort of culture, which I think is very important. Junior year, all classes will be taking place at Memorial Hall. They won't go up the hill at all. By their senior year, they will be starting to take courses just like they would have at any other high school when you begin to do dual enrollment. Who are the staff? We say principal, but the person will be more of a director because the person's going to have to know both public schools and the university. You can just see a list. One of the features I do want to point out to you is classroom teachers. 8 of those teachers will come from Rockingham and 8 of them from Harrisonburg. And what we're trying to do is have 2 or 3 master teachers identified from each school division. Then the College of Education works with your folks to help recruit the other teachers from our programs so that we're establishing an ongoing pipeline. Those teachers would come and work a year or 2 in the lab school, then be reassigned on the contract to one of your other high schools. That's a very key piece to this. And it would be the same thing with some others. If the teacher becomes a teacher at the lab school, we'll call, at the partnership school, they're a partnership school fellow, and they would be given a $5,000 stipend, along with teaching as an adjunct at the university. They would still work with the school division throughout the year to help provide professional learning for all your teachers. I'll just stop you. You might have. Transportation will be provided from the home school. And those are some of the little nuances that we're working out with both school divisions. And I realize there is a shortage of bus drivers. Meals provided by the divisions, we're also working out those just due to the regulations between federal, state, and local. So the governance, and I think, again, this is a very, very important feature. This is the only school that we have been able to find that will function like this, with multiple school divisions and a university partnering together and as a mutual governance, equal governance. So again, there'd be the superintendent from each school division or their designee. We would be requesting that a board member from each school division, at least one, represent this governance body, and then a community stakeholder, because there's such a community engagement. We'd love to see that rotating, of course, appointed by either the school board or the superintendent. And for the university, it would be President Alger or his designee, most likely me, I imagine. And then we'd also have a Board of Visitors member would be part of this. The Board of Visitors has already been, we've already given a briefing to. They're very excited about this. They passed the idea for us to move forward to talk about this potential with our partners. And then we'd have someone from our community. As you can see, very mutual. So here's snapshots. That's what happens when you start talking about budgets, right? So these are going to be 3 quick snapshots of just the budgets, overall budgets. Again, this is just a work in progress. We met with both CFOs and Jason McLean, who's the Vice President for Academic Resources with JMU. And so we're still working on a couple of nuances, but this will just give you a good sort of snapshot. And I'm sure as we move forward, because this is only an informational session, that we'll have plenty of time to brief the board in length on each line item. We're down, it's almost the bottom of the ninth inning, so we're getting close, folks. Good news is we have a technology, all right. Can you go to the slide ahead of it then? If you just stay on slide 24 right there, at least so that we can sort of share it, and I'll sort of walk folks through it. Is that okay with the board? The permission from the board? Thank you very much. All right, that's not gonna happen. You have the slides in front of you? Okay. Come on, yours, Jason. So when you look at the shared model, just for JMU, it's about 1.5 million. And again, we're putting in anywhere from 1,500,000 to $2 million in the renovations in the 7,000 wing of Memorial Hall. Each school division, it comes out to about 1. Yeah, if there's anything that you want to comment on that, so that, because it's a public hearing.
I think at the end when you're
All
completed
right,
with your
thank
presentation.
you. Okay, and so you have a couple things in front of you, one last slide. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about to begin with. A lot of folks have said to me, what's the cost? And I always go back, what's the investment? What's the return on the investment? And I want you to think, and I know that we have a number of principals here, they can be sitting here right now and say, I know 15 or 20 kids that this school would be perfect for. This may be the thing that changes their life. So I don't think that's gonna be a problem over time. Someone asked me from the other school board, well, how do we recruit kids? And we recruit them with our guidance counselors. We recruit them with the teachers, with the folks that know your students the best, to say, hey, here are some students that really can this will be a different setting for them. Let's give them a chance. I believe over the course of 2 or 3 years, the students will be the ones that are selling the program. And that's the exciting part about this. People have already started talking about this across the state. Other universities are considering doing the same thing. Might look a little bit different. I believe that we're ahead of the game. I believe that this is an innovation hub, and I really just want to thank your superintendent. He is, again, having just a number of meetings with him, and of course with Michael over at Harrisonburg. Some great thoughts are coming out. So Oscar, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity again. And I'd love to take any questions, but if you have any comments on this also.
Yeah, I would first like to thank you for the presentation and for all the meetings that we've had. I also want to thank Brian and the rest of the JMU team, John Almarode. We've worked with him a lot on a number of projects. From RCPS, Larry Shiflett and Donna Abernathy were part of this, as were Eric Fitzgerald, Scott Hand, and Becky Hill Shiflett as part of the conversations. And what's important for board members to know is that, of course, when we talk about a $1.7 million expense, right, that requires us to prioritize along with all the other budget requests that we have. You know that every year we get, just from the schools, typically $10 million in budget requests for staff at the buildings. We have our own projects. And so I think that's why I made sure, and when I spoke to Dean Lesperance, that this is presented as a proposal that our staff engaged in. I think there has to be still a lot of conversation during the spring. This is a start date of 2023, whether in the mix of all the other projects that we have going on, because we've talked previously, about model schools and whether to have, new tech network academies in our buildings and a number of these other things, whether this rises to that level where Rockingham County Schools will decide to invest $1.7 million in this over other needs that we always have, right? And so that's important to know, right? So this isn't a project that's set to begin in 2023. This is a presentation that was created, as one of the options that we have, and that certainly, again, when we talk about a teacher pipeline, has some really amazing features that we've talked about in our own division, but just the same, there's a process to be followed to consider whether that's an expense that, overrides, some of the other priorities that we always have on our plate. And so it was a really good process for Larry and his team to go through, and then from here to have that conversation whether in our priorities, whether this rises, to the top of expenses that we want to recommend or commit. So I want to just, say thank you to everyone who's been part of it, so that we have a sense of what this could look like if we decide that it's high enough on the priority list for the school board.
Board members, other questions for Dr. Lesperance?
Yes, go ahead. I know there's currently a Valley Scholars Program at JMU. How does this tie in with Valley Scholars, or does it?
Yeah, great question, ma'am. So Sean Mooney, who runs that program, I've had a number of conversations with him. We believe that this will help, hopefully be an extension of that program, and they'll be able to expand that. But it's sort of the same type of student, profile, which I think is really, really important. And Sean has asked us to keep at least 30 slots open for Valley Scholars. But that's a great question, and that's something that we want to expand on that, because of course Valley Scholars come to JMU with all expenses paid.
And I'm curious, we have Massanutten Technical Center, which is a half-day program, and the students return to their home school, and we have Massanutten Governor School, where the students are there half a day and return to their school. Why the consideration of an 8:30 to 2:30 as opposed to a half-a-day program and return to home school?
Right. Again, a great question. And the thing with that, because what we're trying to do is give that whole block schedule, right? So the courses are both transdisciplinary but integrated. So every single course that the students are in, there's a continuum of activities and projects. And sometimes, again, because this is an innovation hub, we believe that by extending it for a full day and doing it for a 2-year period, it gives those students the problem-solving skills that will say at the end of 2 years, where do I go from there? And that may be at the vocational school or governor's school, but we really want the students and their parents to be part of this experience. And it's a different school experience. You think of our own high school experience, right? We probably have some of us have similar experiences. It's something that's going to be a little bit different because there's a lot of hands-on. When I say hands-on, not just banging tools, hands-on solving problems.
I have another question about student selection. I looked at these slides before we came here, so.
I could tell.
Student selection. I know that special ed students are going to be invited to attend, but special ed students also need related services, and I didn't see any related service people listed.
Yeah, I don't know if you can go back to the personnel because it might go up, but when you look at that slide, there are special education teachers, and there's an exceptional teachers program that we have in the College of Ed. And what it will be, and we're working on that, it's a least restrictive environment. So it may not be the school for every student that has a special need, but the way it's designed will be the least restricted environment, as established by federal guidelines.
Okay.
In looking at I'm assuming I'm correct that that's 1.7 annually. That's correct, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So contractually, what are we looking at in terms of, because you can't just do a year with this kind of an investment. So realistically, contractually, what would we be looking at?
Yeah, and again, Jason can answer any extended questions on this, but we're looking at a 5-year commitment.
Right.
Because
Gotcha.
we definitely believe we'll be doing a lot of program evaluation throughout, and we'll have a lot of good, rich, formative data to give school boards throughout, and probably by the 4th year, we'll decide whether or not we need to extend that. So
Gotcha.
we're looking at a 5-year commitment.
Okay.
And how many years will there be no students involved in the actual program? So it's first year, no students, is just to get things in place, or?
Well, we believe in the fall of '23, ma'am, that we'll have at least 150 in the ninth grade, because we have over a year to recruit. And we've already started to talk to some middle schools about what's going on with their focus groups. And then just working with the high school counselors, identifying freshmen. So the students are out there, just actively recruiting them, and again, it'll be a lottery type system to ensure that we have, diversity of
$0.7 million until the fall of 2023.
Oh, all right, so I understand that part. Well, no, there will be, next year, there may be just a small budgetary items related to, because we want to make sure that we have the principal on board and the counselor on board from day one. So the fall of next year, so they have a whole year working with both school divisions.
So do you anticipate a 50-50 split between Harrisonburg and Rockingham, regardless of student numbers from each division?
Dr. Scheichel?
So what the question is if you can only recruit, for example, 100 students from Rockingham, but 200 from Harrisonburg, how would the funding model work?
Yeah, so then it would be differentiated. So that, based on students. So this funding model is based on 50-50 split. And then what we'll do, depending on, I'm sure there'll be a slight variation. So that 1.7 most likely would drop if you had fewer students. Because even with the second high school being open in Harrisonburg, this is another option for their students. Right.
And then is there a path towards JMU acceptance through this program?
Yes.
Guaranteed
Yeah,
acceptance?
well, nothing's ever guaranteed, correct? So we
A
believe.
path to.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely a strong pathway, and that's what I want you to think about, right? If you come out with 36 credit hours and you're already established at JMU, you're already part of the culture, it's a natural sort of bridge. And again, this is a grow your own for us. We're trying to grow our own students because we realize in your school division in Harrisonburg, there are students that we haven't touched yet. And we're gonna see these students, this potential of students, and be able to work with them. So we're working with admissions and Dawn and Harper to say, what's the profile of an incoming freshman at JMU? What can we do over a 4-year period to ensure that? And I think that'll be an easy transition. Great question.
I'm sure that, I would like to ask permission to give you a call as questions do come to mind, or send you an email if you could give me a business card.
Yeah, yes,
that I
sir.
could reach out, because I'm sure as I think over this and read more on it, I will have questions for clarification.
Yeah, I'd love to have you come down to Memorial Hall and we can have coffee. I can show you around. I said that in Harrisonburg, and a bunch of people just started laughing because they went to school there at one point.
Right.
But it's just like, but yeah, no doubt. I'll give all the information, and
Yeah,
that'll
I
be
have
great.
that information as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we want to be as transparent as possible with everything that we're doing.
My final question is about the feeding of the students, the meals. I don't believe, is there a kitchen there? Would there be a need for kitchen staff, or they be boxed in, or have you not come to that?
Yeah, well, right now, if you're aware of it, we have Aramark at JMU, and at Memorial Hall, we have, it's called the Bistro, which seats, I believe, about 400 folks. So we have plenty of room. We have the kitchen facilities. I think the nuance is what they're trying to work out, because again, there's two different types of regulations. There are K-12 type regulations for lunching and stuff, and then there's the university. So they'll be working together. There'll be like another one of those little subgroups that will work together. But I assure you that students will eat well.
Any other questions, board members? Anything else?
Thank you. And I
Thank
know you
you.
know where my office is, ma'am, so.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you want to handle those?
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you,
you.
Dr. Esperance. Thank you, Dr. Zugo.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda is Mr. Fitzpatrick. Fitzgerald.
It's your last meeting, too.
I know. Can you be Fitzgerald Fitzpatrick? You're right. I
Chair
don't know
Reed,
where
board
my
members.
heck my mind is going. Okay,
Chair-
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Chair Reed, I was getting ready to call you a different name, but I won't.
That's okay. You can do that too.
Chair Reed, board members, and Dr. Scheichel, each year, the board reviews the proposed list of high school courses for the upcoming school year. For the 2022-2023 school year, the following updates and changes are proposed, and you should have that as part of your board docs. The proposed changes are highlighted in red, and I'm just going to kind of review those real quick so you know what they're all about. The first one that you'll see on page 4 is just basically more of a name change than anything else. We want to change agriculture, power, and technology to agricultural structural systems. This is a change to better align our competencies with what the local community and agriculture needs. We're not changing, in other words, we're just renaming a course basically. The second one on page 6 is in music education, and we just need a way to distinguish between guitar and piano, like beginning courses and advanced courses. So that's the change there. Then on page 10, this one's at MTC. We're actually adding a program that you were given some highlights about at the last board meeting. We want to put in Aviation Maintenance Technology 1 and 2 at MTC. And again, that's a result of some community need and expressed support from the business industry. The next thing on page 11, you'll see that we are deleting masonry classes at MTC, and that's 3 levels. Now, what we want to do with that is actually incorporate masonry into the carpentry program to make it more of a building trades program. We feel like that's the best way to introduce our students to masonry and, again, to support the building and construction industry. And that's basically all the changes that we have. You'll also notice that the Edgenuity, there's a website there. All Edgenuity courses are included, as well as virtual Virginia courses. I bring this to you for information tonight. Do you have any questions about this? And I'm hoping for action at the next meeting.
Board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Fitzgerald?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Fitzgerald. Board members, in your packet, you have the financial review for November 2021 and the attendance report for November 2021 for your review, and we will move into other business. First thing I want to do before I call on the board members is, do we have students in the room? Students in the house tonight? Raise your hands. Great. Thanks for being with us this evening and coming to a board meeting. We know that you're here probably to fulfill part of a class requirement, but we're happy to have you with us. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to email us or ask us after the meeting, specific questions. But thanks for being with us. Okay, school board, other business. We will start with Mr. Falk.
Well, I'd just like to follow on with what so many people have so eloquently expressed, and that is appreciation, Renee, for your dedication over the past 8 years and your concern for the well-being and the improvement of the education of children in Rockingham County. I know that that you and I have, on a personal note, we have had many, many, many hours of discussions about possibilities and theory and all different sorts of things, to the point that we got lost coming back from Richmond on the first time. But it has been an absolute pleasure working with you. I can't imagine a more professional person, and you have been a great credit to Rockingham County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Falk. Appreciate it. Ms. Lohr?
I got ahead of myself in the highlights and forgot to mention that I was able to celebrate Family and Consumer Sciences Day with the good folks at Elkton Middle School. They were doing aprons and had punch and cookies, which were delicious. So I hope everybody took a moment to enjoy Family and Consumer Sciences Day. And then I wanted to ask a question of Dr. Scheichel. Did my ears hear correctly? December 24th is the day for, the first possible day for everybody to be vaccinated, everybody over the age of 5?
Yes, so December 10th was the last clinic in our schools, and so that means the students that have taken advantage of the clinics in our buildings, now you add 14 days, post the second Pfizer shot, and that means full vaccination at that time, December 24th.
Awesome, because December 24th is my birthday. And for my birthday, I want things to return to normal. And that is a huge step in returning to normal. And can you, just so that I'm very clear and so that we all hear it another time, can you talk about masks and what the future of masks are for us, please?
So, and currently, the CDC still recommends the wearing of masks, of course. It's a continued requirement on public transportation, including school buses. We anticipate that the public health order will be lifted when Governor Youngkin takes office. And so with the other strategies being there, there's support in the research community as well. Joseph Allen at Harvard Public Health, who we've really, at least I've spent a lot of time looking at his advice. He's on an international COVID commission from the Lancet. And he posted a piece in the Washington Post a few weeks ago where he said, it's all, again, about these layers. And so as the vaccine is available, as rapid tests are freely available, again, for a long time, it was tricky to get your hands on the rapid tests. We can now distribute them to families that need them. Ventilation improvements, that's, again, we evaluated every classroom in Rockingham County. Steve Reed and his team worked with an outside company to get to 5 air exchanges an hour. So 5 times an hour, the air is completely refreshed. And so as you add those particular pieces, then that's a time when the marginal benefits, the additional benefit of wearing masks versus not wearing masks, becomes much, much smaller. So without those strategies, masks make the difference. But once you can ramp up all these other strategies, there are now additional treatments available. We also, and it's not the only thing, just taking masks off. We've quarantined 1,500 students since the beginning of the school year based on the close contact definition. And so students, if someone tests positive and we find, and this isn't close contacts in school necessarily, this is if someone at home is a positive case and then we know that 3 or 4 children, were within, that range and now are considered close contacts, they have to quarantine, again, with a rapid test for at least 7 days. They can come back on day 8. There's another project, in fact, VDH just posted about this today, that they hope that by early January, they will have a pilot project in place to examine the test to stay project. So if a student is a close contact, doesn't show any symptoms, they can stay in school. They have to do a rapid test every couple of days, but we allow them to stay in school. And actually their pilot project will be with Rockingham County Schools. So I've asked for that because it gives us another opportunity to keep the kids in school when they have no symptoms and they're not, they don't test positive, they simply were close contact. And so a number of steps we take, we've always pushed, right? When we had the research to support it, we allowed students to stay in school at 3, if they wore masks and were at 3 feet. And so all these other items, again, the additional strategies allow us to potentially, again, it all depends on the public health order. There's also, by the way, a conversation about whether the Senate Bill 1303 last year required us to follow CDC guidance, right? There was a lot of debate. That was then basically cut short with the public health order. I have recently spoken to Senator Obenshain about this. We talked to Delegate Wilt last year, to get legal clarification. When our liability insurance says, well, in those circumstances, we don't know whether we will cover that. It depends on the legal rulings. That's not really a level of uncertainty that we like. And so I've asked Senator Obenshain, and he has said that he would reach out to get clarification on that. And so we expect there to potentially be a bill that will clarify that, what was meant in Senate Bill 1303. And so our local legislators are helping too. Well, everyone is interested in getting good answers and having the right mitigation strategies in place. And so masks, again, there's that potential. It all depends on the legal situation and on what happens to the public health order. And we have put all the other strategies in place that actually, from a science perspective, also make that an option, including the availability of the vaccine. So, yeah, you heard that right earlier. And again, it's just a matter of having all the right steps taken to make sure that students can remain in school and don't have to quarantine when they don't need to, and to also get back, again, to that a little bit more of a normal experience, if you want to call it that, although, very little during the global pandemic can be called normal. And so, that's, we're all looking forward to having these options at our disposal. As always, right, community spread, whether we see transmission in school, can affect that. So if transmission, even if we make masks optional, if all of a sudden we see a significant, transmission in schools, then we'd have to consider that. So there'll always be an eye on what the data shows, but that may be the default option we can go to is to say, with all these other strategies in place, can we make masks optional? And again, we'll have that conversation in January.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for all of your work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lohr. Dr. McQuilkin.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. I would like to wholeheartedly second Mr. Falk's congratulations to you, Ms. Reed. You will be sorely missed. We miss your professionalism, your organization, your attention to detail, your care about all of the students, regardless of what area they come from. You've been exceptional, and we would like to give a wholehearted thank you to you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Mr. Breeden.
I've had people ask me at different times what it's like to be a school board member, and it's the portion about the meeting is pretty easy to explain, but it's the parts that you alluded to, Ms. Reed, in your remarks about how you can't go home and talk about it, even with a spouse, when you've sat in a closed session and watched a young person who's struggling and has no parental support, when you've got a staff member who's in pain or has lost someone or is going through a difficult time or what have you. So it becomes familial, because there's only 4 people that you can share your thoughts, your pains, your aspirations with, and those people come and go just as they do in families. But it's those times that you're on a plane ride to Boston, or you're sitting having lunch at a VSBA conference, or it's a phone call after a particularly difficult meeting, where that the only other person you can talk to is one of the other 4, and you just gotta vent, or you gotta cry. And it doesn't take long when you're serving with someone in that capacity to find out what they're really made of. Not whether they're a good public speaker or whether they dress the nicest or whatever other measuring tool you want to use, but what's really inside. And I can tell you that it didn't take me long to figure out, Ms. Reed, that you cared for kids. And I can work with anybody who cares for kids. We don't have to agree. We've not always agreed on the path to get there. But at the end of the day, we've always agreed. And hey, we've had times when we've had a particularly contentious meeting, or there's been a difficult issue where we've said, this is not going to be popular. We're going to take some personal hits for this. But the question it always goes back to is, based on the information we have, does it seem to be the best thing for the kids? And your counsel, your caring has been invaluable to me. And I don't care what anyone has said or will say. I know what's at the heart. And bless you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Breeden. That's greatly appreciated. Dr. Scheichel.
Hey, just one more story. Today was your last school board meeting, and we had a meeting of our community dialogue group this morning. And even on your last day, you insisted on providing breakfast to the group. So that just shows, again, how you think and how you operate and what you care about. And again, thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you. I appreciate all those kind comments. I appreciate the small collegial get-together that we had prior to this meeting. This really has been a labor of love, and it has been a bittersweet moment. I wasn't sure I was going to make it through the day today. So I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to using my big gavel in about 2 seconds. And for the one and only time we see this big gavel, although maybe I might need to get one for all of you if Mr. McLean lets me, figures out how to do it. I believe it was Dr. Benson's at the university, and that's kind of got passed down. So that's an interesting take on it. So we do have reason to go into closed session. Before we do that, thank you to all of you for being here. We appreciate it. Please be safe going home this evening. It's dark, there's deer out. Some of you have come a great distance, so particularly our students, be safe on your way home. I particularly, but I'm sure the board does, wishes you happy holidays and Merry Christmas. May you have a blessed and peaceful and wonderful holiday season for the next couple of weeks. That's what our fervent wish is for this community, and a healthy holiday. So thank you. All right, so we need a motion to go into closed session.
I move that the board enter a closed meeting to discuss and consider the following pursuant to the provisions of Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1, personnel, specific public officers, appointees, or employees for the purpose of considering such individual's assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, salary, or resignation.
Thank you, Ms. Lord. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. McQuilkin. Any questions or discussion, board members? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Students, if you need us to sign anything, come on up and we'll go ahead and do that for you. You thanked your big gavel. You need to